Yo, Fiddler a beaten, Májnó újra a porondon, 2012. Spébere baba, én rosszul hitett, hogy én majd feladom, amíg a zene lüktet, én csalom. Fiddler nyomja alám az alapot, és ketten együtt a csúcsig lehet, már meg sem állunk. A zene nekünk kábítószer, ha neked is a mi zenénket fel a kezekkel. Nincs semmi baj, amíg a ritmus ráz, mert amin azon kap feját a tájére, áll majd a ház.
The Mega.
Hour. What is up, YouTube?
What's up, guys? Welcome
What's
back.
going on?
Yeah,
What's
we're
up,
recording
guys?
this one. We're on the interwebs. We're on the internet snake. We're here with a very special guest. Thank you to Arthur for reaching out on Facebook to get this guest. We are here
Yes.
with The Mummy.
Hello. Hello, guys. What's going on? It's the Mummy.
How are you doing today?
So,
I'm doing good, honestly. It was a long time coming for me to get on Facebook. Got reached out to about this. I was pumped. I mean, think about in the news today how often you hear about this. Never. So when Arthur reached out and was like, hey, I have a podcast, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. So,
yeah, and honestly, on our end, we're pretty starstruck. I mean, obviously, you know a little bit about the pod from our messages on Facebook Messenger, and you do know that we are monster experts. And so we are pretty starstruck to have you here in the office with us today on Zoom, in the Zoom office. So
yeah,
thanks.
yeah. Just any mummy's perfect, and you are the mummy.
I am the mummy, and it's interesting because today there's not a lot of love for mummies. I mean, you see, Twilight and the Nick Cage one, and a lot of them are about vampires. You have a lot of vampire love. No one's
Nosferatu.
really showing up. Yeah, Nosferatu too. That was the big one. Pissed about that. And not a lot of love for mummies anymore. So I'm glad to be on and talk a little bit about some of the things that I do and how it's been.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. I do totally agree with your statement and your kind of argument here that mummies don't have the cultural impact in the monster world that they once did.
Yeah, they're not
And you
a
think about-
representation.
You think about like in the 1950s. Think about 1950s horror movies, right? It was always like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy. Those were like the Mount Rushmore.
If you want to
and
get
now I
creepy,
think-
you can put like the lake guy.
Yeah, you put like the creature
The
from
creature,
Black
Creature
of the
from the
Black
Lagoon,
Lagoon.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
is
you-
popular.
Do you know
He's
him?
fine.
Have you ever met him?
Never personally. But the thing with him is that all of us classic monsters, we have some sort of aspect to us that maybe deals with magic. Like I deal heavily in curses. Well, Dracula won't die or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But I think he came about from the swamp. He never had that killer element, and I think he got a buy a lot on people thinking he was silly, which is actually another thing I wanted to bring up. I'm actually, I understand the idea that I was popular in the 50s. The 50s was a bad decade for us because it took the Mummy and the Mummy and who were the guys that did Who's on First? Abbott Costello.
Abbott
It was
Costello.
the Mummy meets Abbott Costello. That fucked the whole thing up. I mean, that ruined the whole thing because we had movies where we were portrayed as what we are. It's scary and mean.
You're like serious.
And now
yeah.
we're running around with these assholes. And I just think that it really started to spin things in a bad way. So I'm
Yeah.
actually still pissed about the 50s for that reason.
Fucks the
The
Marx
50s
Brothers.
were tough.
It was a
The
tough
50s
time.
Mm-hmm.
for you
I was
guys,
still
especially,
in Tomb then, but
and you think about, so you were entombed at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
and you think about like the walk like an Egyptian kind of effect on what mummies had, and people so this is kind of a tough question that I wanted to bring up. There's a lot of talk these days about Halloween and cultural appropriation, right? So when you see a little 5-year-old wrap himself up in toilet paper on TikTok, and he says he comes out and his arms are outstretched and he's kind of just like sauntering towards his mom while she's filming on her Samsung Galaxy, and he's covered in toilet paper. What do you think? Is that an affront to who you are as a mummy?
a little bit, because again, it goes back to the silliness. I think that initially, and part of the reason it was a skit. Think about what happened to me. I died, and I had all of my stuff taken out, and I was like lobotomized, and it's horrifying. And I was dried out, and I will talk about how that was to recover from why I'm back today, and some of the measures I've had to take to be walking this earth.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't easy. And so, if you have, let's say, you have a guy, maybe like a 40-year-old man who is not someone the public would want to be near, and he wraps himself up in toilet paper, and he that is fine, because he's upsetting to the kids, and he's scary, and people might want to run from him. But if it's a 5-year-old, it goes back to the Abbott and Costello thing of like, why are we making a joke out of this? It's not toilet paper, it's wraps. They were tight wraps.
Yeah, I feel like
And it's not funny.
a prime like Joe Pesci, prime Joe Pesci to play a mummy. I feel like a
Yes.
movie right then, and right when he was in the prime, right along like Mean Streets, that kind of vibe, that would have
Yes.
made the mummy stock soar.
It would
Yeah.
have. It would have, because he's a guy people take seriously, and that he's an actor who can be scary. He can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying that the issue with being a mummy is that people think it's all a big fucking joke.
Yeah, they think it's funny, and it's not. It's really not funny at all, because
No.
a lot of things are scary about it, and a lot of the things, we can dive into some of the powers and whatnot down the road, but I think people think, I have a kid, and maybe if my job isn't good, and we have toilet paper at home. No, that's not good. You don't want to do that, because then a kid should be something fun, like for Halloween, like a Star Wars thing, or something that's
I
fun.
was an Oompa Loompa.
Not Vader. Exactly, that is fun. It's not cool or threatening at all. It's just fun, and a kid is like a little idiot. So you wouldn't want to make them something that would be scary, like a mummy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mummy should be like a teenager costume.
It's a teenager or up costume. Yeah, if you have a teenager who maybe is not really good, or or does things that are bad, that would be a good character to be a mummy.
So a like
Like a greaser.
so a good teen shouldn't be a mummy for Halloween. Or sorry,
if they
not for
can't-
Halloween. Is it not for Halloween? I'm sorry. They don't cancel me. Sorry. But so you're saying that a good teenager shouldn't dress as a mummy in general, but a medium to bad teen and up can be a mummy.
Yeah, it's really about reputation, right?
Mhm.
If would people already maybe want to run from you a little if you weren't dressed as a mummy, then adding the addition of the raps and the walking and the moaning and the groaning,
Mm-hmm.
then you would want to flee, and because you would think like, oh fuck, is Roderick a mummy now? That is not good, that is not good.
Yes.
Yeah, who
And you would not
embalmed
want to-
him?
you would, because he's gonna fuck with you. He's gonna fuck you up, and that's not. You don't want that. So.
Yeah, speaking
Right.
about that, what's some kind of like, if you wanted to fuck somebody up, what is some mummy magic and just like overall tactics you could use to fuck them up?
Yeah, what's
Well-
your go-to moves?
So that's the thing. A lot of people like to think that a mummy would be like a Frankenstein or even sort of a Dracula, where we're going to sort of like melee attack you. Like Frankenstein will hit, Dracula will bite. I can do those things, and when we're often depicted, it's us like walking towards somebody, because movie magic was not really where it needed to be. My thing is mainly in curses. Okay, when I was initially mummified, again, like I said, all my organs had to come out. So I had to get some of them back. Some of them I can make through do with magic. Others, like a brain, I could not. That was crucial. So that's the one guy that I just hit him with a wrench. And I killed him, and I took his brain out. And I'm not pumped about that because I don't necessarily want to kill people, I would say. But for that, I needed the brain. So I had to hit him with a wrench, and I just killed him.
So are you more
but my
like,
thing is,
like with cursing, are you more like a monkey's paw type of guy where you like get people when they're
like
at their
riddle
worst and then get them to make wishes and then you fulfill them terribly so their lives are just infinitely worse?
there's some wish play. It's a lot of stuff with beetles.
Oh,
Like
of course.
like a
Oh, yeah.
beetle.
Like the Wicker
let's
Man.
say let's say you're looking around where you shouldn't be. You think everything is fine. Next day, 40 million beetles fill up your house,
Uh-huh.
and you would
that's
be
not
like,
good.
"How did this happen?"
Locust
No,
swarm.
it was me. Yeah, that the other ones. Yeah, those, and a lot of that. A lot of making skin turn green. You can do a lot. Like I'll just make your skin if you're
What's like the
make your
health
skin.
side effects of green skin?
Oh, it's bad. It starts to like sizzle and kind of fall off.
Oh my god, it's like
and
nuclear.
It's rough. It's not good.
That's crazy.
You don't
I
don't
heard-
want that.
I heard that you, or I heard that. Sorry, not you specifically. I don't mean to say your people when I'm talking about mummies or anything like that. Just trying to watch what I'm saying. I'm so sorry, but
Okay.
I heard that some of you guys can make people throw up sand.
Oh yeah. So sand is huge. I can drown people in sand. I can make them throw up sand.
Wow.
I can just like let's say somebody because I'm trying to integrate here into regular life. It's been tough. I was
Of course.
untombed and found.
What year
Yeah,
was
it
that, by
lasts-
the way?
I came out right about 2014 is when
Oh
I
my
came
God.
out.
So how soon after getting out did you get an iPhone?
Not for a while. Like I said, I just got on Facebook for a while. I did not have an iPhone. I did have an old Dell laptop.
Okay,
Um,
that's awesome.
That was mainly for like trying to learn as much about what Hollywood and these other things have done to mummies. Learn about where mummies fit in society, which by the way is nowhere, and try to get my head around things and as much
Yeah.
on like a literal surface as possible.
I can imagine just like waking up then how just like even like a car would be terrifying, like fucking airplanes.
It's kind of
the
like,
thing.
have you seen? I don't know. I know that you just kind of woke up, like in the grand scheme of time. I don't know if you've seen Captain America: The First Avenger, but there's a scene where he wakes up after being submerged in ice for about 70 years, and he thinks that he's in the 1940s, but he's in modern day Brooklyn or modern day Times Square. Was it kind of like that for you with the state of how mummies became a fucking joke?
Yes, it was because I missed the whole period of when they were scary, and I came out in a period of when, like you said, there's young children dressed as them for Halloween. That's not a children's thing. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's gross. I didn't have mice. I live in Oregon because I have to be where there's rain because I had to be dried. In order to get me to stay fine forever, I was dried. So now I have to be up. And I tried to live in Tampa, but it was too much, and I was getting too wet, and it was too quick. So now I'm up where the rain is, a little less humidity is working better.
Okay, so you woke up in 2014 and you were dried, and now you have to constantly be humid to stay
Mhm.
alive.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gotta stay wet at most
So
times.
if you dry up, what's gonna happen?
Well, the brain's not gonna fit. Most of the thing is getting that's gonna make you tight, and it's not gonna leave a lot of room for decaying. Which, not that I want to decay now, but I also can't. If I'm too dry, the brain won't fit. Which for some, I have to use the brain, and also if I'm too dry, like I can go out, right? I can go out in like a coat and some stuff right now. I can't go out if I'm dry. You would just see me, and you would think it was the most disgusting thing you would vomit. You would vomit
Okay, yeah.
if you
Okay.
saw me.
Yeah, because I do see that you're wrapped up right now.
Mhm.
Obviously, you said it's not toilet paper and it's not fucking funny earlier. So you're in ceremonial wrappings that are meant to preserve.
Yeah, there's oils in them and stuff to kind of help. You
Yeah.
know.
So let's go back in your history a little bit. So
Yeah.
what was your life like, if you can recall? I know that you did swap brains at a point. But
Yeah,
do
no,
you recall, can recall
Yes.
some memories about before your mummification. Do you remember about when? Tell us a little bit about your life.
It was around the year, 1740 BC was around the time that because the ancient Egyptian period was roughly 3000 BC to about 300 BC. It was a long time that we had, all the notoriety and things. So when I was coming about, we were working on pyramids. That was a real hot button issue because the idea was like, all right, let's.
That was big.
It was huge, but a lot of people hated it because it was like, I'm gonna go. We have these workers, and we'll get into that too. And we wanted to have them build a pyramid, but they're never gonna see it be done. They're gonna get a layer of it and die.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were like, why don't we not worry about this and just take the time we are to be alive to do other things? But woke up, found out we built 7.
Well, that's where the aliens come in.
Yeah, it wasn't aliens; it was slavery, and I think a lot of people overlooked that. You think about it. We would go grab them, bring them over, and they would build them. And I know in hindsight that is the wrong thing to do. But yeah, people pointed to aliens. Another thing that's not real. Mummies are real, and aliens aren't. And just another thing to take some fame away from us. And
Yeah, I feel like the History Channel, they were focusing on mummies a lot, but at a certain point they turned from that towards more like futurism, like what if aliens are real, all that kind of bullshit that just, it's fucked up life. That's where I could really see civilization take a turn in America.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense because think about it. We don't know that that's real. I am sitting here. I'm real. Why are we not?
That's true.
Why are we not?
We haven't had an
me?
alien. We haven't had an alien on the show yet, and I have not contacted any of them by Facebook.
I'm not really a believer in aliens. I think God put us on Earth for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
God put us on Earth. He wiped a lot of my guys out for sure for some of the shit we were doing, and it's not that big of a deal, but it was tough, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Damn.
You're saying that you were in the midst of when the pyramids were being built when you shed your mortal coil for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was what is known as a noble. A lot of times pharaohs are what people think get mummified, and they do. Also nobles. I was born to the son of another noble, and my dad was a great military leader. So naturally, that's what you would think I would do. There was a mishap. One of my feet got crushed. I ended up having to be a taxman. Luckily,
Wow.
and I will tiptoe around this carefully because I understand we're in some trying times these days. What I spoke about with the construction of the pyramids, we had some people come in who were able to teach us some different systems. Some notable people in that time period relating to taxes. I learned from them, smart people, and I was able to get everything up and running with the tax system. Now I understand that this is probably not great, but it's what happens. So I helped create a tax system, and then I got sick. I went by the water. I went down by the water. They were like, you have to go down. There's some stuff going on by the water, so I went down. And you go by the water. I mean, you're toast. Any bug, any little gnat,
It's fucking alligators.
anything airborne. Well, an alligator would be a problem too.
But like Nile virus.
I got some sort of a virus in my upper nasal area, and within a couple days, I was toast.
So you were a noble, and you were helping run the economy, and you perished by a bad illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some sort of bugs went into my face or something, and I died.
Yeah, that'll happen to you.
Do you remember anything from in between life and death? Do you remember anything at all from that, or is it just like you just snapped and woke back up in 2014?
A little, and I understand I was kind of dealt a shit hand there. Some people have been like, "Oh, you're living in the greatest time," and others are not so happy. So I'm still trying to figure out whether it's good or bad that I'm here, but I am here. But I don't remember much about the afterlife aside from what's happening now. I do remember though. When they came to find my tomb, they came in there, and at this point, that must have jolted me up, and that's when I had to get my head around curses because the people started coming in, and they just started kind of falling apart. Like their arm would come off and their bone would be out, and it was kind of freaking me out because I was like, am I doing this, or is something's wrong with them, or I don't know. So that was really most of that. I do remember too them talking about the hieroglyphs, and they just kept saying they were gay, and I don't know what their problem with the hieroglyphs was or why they would have been gay. They weren't gay. But that was really, that's what I remember mostly from that
Well,
time.
yeah, maybe gay means something in Egyptian, like, as
That we
so
don't
far. It's just like something just like, oh, these are cool. You know, these are happy. I don't
Could be.
know.
I don't know either.
That's
I was
pretty messed
not
up.
pleased with that.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. Anything else that you remember? So, at what point did you kind of... So, as you were mummified, so they found you in 2014, and they let you loose.
Was it
Yeah, well,
like
they woke me up.
grave robbers or like scientists? Do you know before their limbs started
was-
falling off?
It was archaeologists. It was some people who were people of science, and they weren't bad people. They
They were
weren't coming in
probably
from
just
like
fucking
old.
like nerds. They had like lab coats on and shit.
Yeah, they were dusting on everything.
I've
just
heard
for
that
whatever.
they caused COVID, so I'm really not that mad about it.
I was pissed about COVID initially until I thought of it more of just a curse.
Did
know?
you
I
get
don't
the
know
virus,
if
or
they're-
did you get like the shot?
Yeah, are you
No,
able to
I-
get COVID?
I can't get COVID. I can't get COVID. Wouldn't have got a shot anyways ever, but can't get COVID. And can't get a sickness, other than some of the issues we mentioned before with the shrinking in the heads and stuff. And, and I was pissed about COVID because I was like, well, now this is just bad. You would think this is bad.
Can't go to the
But
grocery store. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
I'm trying to figure this world out. Now we got this to deal with. But then I thought of it like this. Chinese curse. And I thought to myself, well, hey, that's a lot of what I do. So,
It's not
you
too
know,
bad
start-
now.
Yeah,
you
don't
start
hate
to
the
come
player,
around with
hate the
these
game.
types of ideas. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know if that's what it was, but if you think about it, it could be.
Yeah,
You
I heard
know-
about like a
yeah.
terracotta army over there for like one of their emperors.
Yes, I've seen that.
I
on
heard that like their
history
first
books.
emperor was buried in a tomb, and they just filled it full of mercury, so that whoever opened it to grave rob it would just like die immediately.
Yeah, okay.
You ever
and-
think about doing mercury stuff?
Well, no, I never thought about using natural things. I was always just able to, once I figured out why their limbs were falling off and figured out that I could kind of do that by like energy, I didn't really need mercury.
So you're more of like
And
a
that's why,
vibes guy.
Yeah, I'm a vibes guy. You see somebody out, whether if you're at B-dubs, which is not easy for me to go to, but if you can make it there for a nice day, and let's say the waiter comes over and he's like, sir, we don't have Nile fruits here. You'll wait till he goes in the back, and then you'll hear him all scream, and his head popped off. I popped his head off. Not a big deal. Popped his head off. And
He's
you
like
can
barely
do
a
these things.
person as a waiter at B-dubs.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not really. I'm a mummy. I'm not here to. Not here to.
Have you ever heard of
make
Dude
everyone-
Perfect?
Not funny. It's not funny
No,
at stuff.
It's not funny. What?
You ever
I
heard
heard
of
what?
You ever heard of Dude Perfect?
Don't know them. What are
They're
they
like
about?
this
You have
famous
YouTube. You have the
YouTube.
internet.
I have some YouTube. I mainly research old things to catch up on. If
Things
it's
that you
pre
missed.
20, if it's pre 2014, no chance. Or post 2014, no chance I've seen it. If it's pre 2014, it's like 50-50 depending on what's going on. For a while, I just look at big events, try to piece it together. It's all you can really do, right?
What's your thoughts on Fantastic Four? Like the original
Movie,
one.
the new movie, or the
2000.
new movie.
I guess
2005?
the only one that you know.
I only know 2005. I'm learning about 2007. I've heard there's other ones.
The new
can't
one is
get my head
really,
around
really
that.
good. You will love it.
It's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. It's never featured a mummy, as far as I'm aware, in this whole Marvel thing. Everyone raves about.
I believe they're
probably would've
mostly
fucked it up.
enemies. They're mostly
they're
like
what?
enemies to be conquered.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well,
I
I'm
think-
sorry to
Moon Knight.
say.
Moon Knight fights mummies, I think.
I think Moon Knight
know
might
about
be a
Moon
mummy.
Knight?
I don't know about him.
Okay,
Is
I
he-
think
is
you're
he
gonna
good?
be pissed when you see him. I think you're.
I think I'm gonna hate it. I think I'm gonna hate it because that's not a good name, Moon Knight, and it's probably it's what does he do? Does he curse people?
I believe he
I don't
fights
really
for
know.
an Egyptian god It's not. It's like maybe like Raw. I don't think it's Raw, but it's one of those guys.
Uh,
But anyways,
okay,
getting back to
yeah.
my main point, Dude Perfect, they do trick shots on YouTube. Check them out, you'd really like it. But one time they went to a B-Dubs, and I met them.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds cool too. That's the kind of stuff I like. It's like a trick shot video, or
They're the kings of trick shots.
They're looking at Zillow, trick shots, Zillow, other things.
You like apartment hunting?
Treasure hunting.
You like apartment hunting?
Oh yeah, well I've had to hunt for many apartments because naturally you would imagine there's a lot of issues that come up. Like
For
you go
sure.
in there and they're like, "Sir, you're leaking goo all over the floor," and I'm like, "Don't fucking worry about it. It's not a big deal."
Well, they
I
can't.
see.
Yeah, it's your fucking rights as an American to leave you wherever you want. You paid for the
That,
lease.
it's how I am these days. And this is what I'm talking about because we see there's a lot of things in the news right now that you could, as a sensible guy, you could be like, well, maybe that's not great, but at least we're talking about those. We're talking about that. We're not talking about mummies. We're not talking about what's happening to them. We're not talking about where they're from. And some
Isn't it
people will be like, well, we
Egypt?
shouldn't be. Do I like Egypt? Have I been to Egypt? Well, I
No,
was
I'm
there
saying that's
first.
where they're from.
Well, they're from Egypt, but we don't.
Yeah.
That's different from an Egyptian.
Yeah,
We're not even
no
talking
one's
about
talking
Egyptians
about
much.
it. So you guys
No.
are really the forgotten monsters. Like no one's really talking about mummies.
No one's talking about
I
mummies at
think
all. We're
whenever
not
they
getting
talk
stuff made
about
at all.
like the Old Testament, they talk about Egyptians and mummies and stuff.
Well, I mean, they say that we're not cursed or we're not real, and they say that's blasphemy. I'm sitting here living proof, or I'm living proof that it's not. You know, we don't need.
The living proof.
This is a
Yeah,
beef
like
you have
proof.
to take up with the Catholic Church. I think that your
Yeah.
existence proves their like not realness. I don't know how
Their
else to say
non-existence.
that. Yeah.
Well, they make a lot of stuff up. That's the thing. If they make some of their stuff's crazy. Like I'll tell you what. Where do you think we got the stuff about the Beatles and your skin falling off or whatever? That was happening. That happened to us. Some of us.
Mhm.
If something happened we didn't do, or I
Like
don't know.
Rob
But-
Graves or something.
Yeah, exactly. You rob a grave and make your skin fall off, or bugs go in your face.
Mhm.
Not,
Yeah. Throw up
So-
sand.
no, some sand. Yeah, but there's no representation for mummies these days. It's tough. It's really tough. And if it is, it's just a joke.
You ever
Just a
thought
joke.
about going on like America's Got Talent? It's a very popular show that I think
It's
you
a
might be able
huge
to
show.
get
I
a
don't know
lot
if
of
you know about
representation.
America's Got Talent. It's a hugely popular show. They have this girl named Grace Vanderwall, and she sings a song with a ukulele, and she's fucking awesome.
Yeah, she's a lot
Okay.
of fans from around here. Some friends of ours.
She's big.
What would you guys suggest I did on there?
I think you should use a power. Do you have any powers that aren't lethal?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I can create like treasure and gold and things like that. And
I think
I
the
got
judges are
mango.
very materialistic, and if you can create gold, they'll be like, "This is the greatest magician of all time."
so put a spin on it where I'm.
Yeah, and then for your
It
final
was-
trick, you bestow your curse upon the judges and run
But
the golden buzzer yourself.
also, one issue is that I think they are going to find you as a novelty, which is the thesis of our issue, right? That they're going to find you. They're going to say, "Hey, mummy, would you make me some gold?" And you're going to have to just do that dance all the time.
I don't. I
You know,
think they
just
would
don't-
until you killed someone.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Is like if that's the case, that's not my mission. Obviously, we spoke about this ad nauseum. I'd rather go up there and liquefy the audience, and that's the name. That's the name. That's headlines. That's
That is
headlines.
headlines. That changes the whole game. You're going to make mummies scary again.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So you are vengeful. Is that fair? Would you say you're vengeful?
With reason, yeah. Like I told you about the Buffalo Wild Wings employee.
Yeah.
I mean, I made his head pop right off, and again, I mean, what am I, a mummy? I'm a monster, and I'm trying to fix our reputation here as we're monsters. We're here to kill and curse. But at the same time, I mean, nothing against you guys. You're helping me spread my message, and you're not really wrong me in any way. I like to say I'm fair, or
Yeah.
at least I implement some
Yeah.
form of justice,
We're not what you'd call
For sure.
traditional media guys.
which is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
We kind of float around, and part of our goal is to, amplify marginalized voices,
Hmm.
as any good news operation should. and part of that is having, less represented famous horror movie monsters. Obviously, you are not from a horror movie, but that's just how the general public knows you. So it's kind of just to get a deeper view behind the curtain, right?
A glimpse into the
and that's-
sarcophagus.
Yeah.
Well said, Cameron. And I think you guys are doing.
Oh, okay. The Zoom descended, guys. Give me a second.
Boo! 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 Hello, everybody. I'm Big C-Man. And there's this celebrity lesbian songwriting singer named Lady Gaga. And she is not really that great. This is what I think of Lady Gaga's music. You suck. This is what I actually have. I have CDs, DVDs, vinyl records, video games, and turntables. And yes, I'm not afraid to use all of them. Lady Gaga can just kiss my ass music-wise because she's not a good performer. People are like, oh, is that all he has? Well, no. This is what I think of your music. You are a fame monster loser, a crying, looking suicide freak, a loser type of geek, and a slut. No, really, she does actually suck. No wonder cheerleaders kicked your ass in high school. Like, the cheerleaders punched Lady Gaga right in the face and say, your music is a piece of crap. Because Lady Gaga is a piece of shit, basically. Basically, in reality, I do have a hidden message to Lady Gaga's opinions. Here's my message. Well, it was close. The correct answer was, kiss my ass, you fucking bitch, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga should commit suicide one day. And she'd be like, ah! I'm not a big fan of Lady Gaga's music, but the truth is, we're always going to be enemies, basically. To tell you the truth, we're evens. You went to Radio City Music Hall before I did. Well, I started YouTube before you did, so in your face. See, that's why Lady Gaga is pretty damn bad. Like, Lady Gaga is a damn joke. You know what Lady Gaga should do? She should burn in hell. Burn in hell! Okay, here's my ending. It's like, no matter how many YouTube performers like your music, this is what I'm like, basically. I am the YouTube villain. I am the evil performer. I am the bad guy. And I am the dark master of the internet world. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching this bit. Thanks for watching this bit. Adios, amigos.
What is up, guys? Welcome back. The Mummy. When we get started, I just wanted to first ask you a question. This has been burning in the back of my mind for weeks now, ever since Arthur told me about you possibly coming on the cast. So I'm not sure if you know this or not, but Arthur's son is afflicted. Arthur, you could go into that more, but I just really want to get your opinion on it and hopefully invite you to our live event where we're going to be having a DNA test for his child.
So let me tell you a little bit basically about my situation. I have two sons and a wife. My wife Nina is the mother to our two somewhat wonderful children,
Beautiful
Zach
boys.
and my beautiful boys, Zach and Dax. Zach is as healthy as a horse. He's an alto in the choir. He's a good boy. However, my other son Dax has been afflicted with some medical professionals have called him the scourge of God. So, basically, since he's been born, both of his eyes have been fully solid black. And I'm not talking about like a black eye, like a little, bruise. I'm talking about his eyes are fully black. Recently, he's been saying that moonlight is painful to him at night. He says I need to draw the blinds in his room at night because the moonlight is like searing his skin like bacon in a pan.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that also is a couple nights ago, and some of this information was on an unreleased app, so I'm gonna kind of retrace my steps here. The other night, I walked into the bathroom and I stepped on what felt like a doormat, and I was like, "What is this?" It felt like a crumpled up doormat. Picked it up, and it kind of unraveled and fell onto the floor, and it was just kind of a translucent, flaky layer. I said, "What is this?" Showed it to my wife. She had no idea what it was. Went over to Dax, and he said, "I'm molting." So I guess when he was taking a hot shower, at the seams of his head, skin started to peel, and he just ripped about 3 layers of skin off, all in one go.
Like a fucking snake.
Yeah, like a snake. And I shined my phone flashlight on him, and he was bright pink and irritated, raw. And he said he felt way better. Like he felt fresh.
He probably is gonna have a
no.
growth spurt soon.
Yeah, this might be puberty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you want me to like just what do you want me to do? Like, turn him into goo?
I mean,
or like
you
No,
I don't
no.
want you to turn him into goo.
Don't make
Oh,
him
wow.
cough up
Vaporize him.
sand.
Don't vaporize him. I just want your opinion. Like, does this sound like anything that you've experienced in the mummy realm?
Well, I'll tell you, I have some good news. First, I was worried because I had heard, he said he was the moonlight was affecting him, and us mummies, we use moonlight for different things, such as creating maps or puzzles. You would position a certain sort of artifact in front of the moon, and it would unlock a door or a case or like a book or something. But not like that. And I was really worried that he would potentially, do the moonlight and drawing the blinds. Those are classic traits of vampires, right? And I was going to ask you, what are his teeth looking like? Have you been touching his teeth? Have you been feeling his teeth? Has he been, if you go in for that, like a hug goodnight, is he going towards your neck? Has he been particularly strange towards your wife in her sleep? These are things you need to watch out for because they're telling signs. And while a vampire is, arguably you could say, well, mommy, wouldn't you be in favor of a vampire? Because at least it's somewhat close to you now. Because I spoke on this. I spoke that they steal my thunder, and I'm fucking sick of it. So that would be a situation where I would want to kill him for sure. With the molting, sounds similar to some mummy activities, though, which is interesting. Maybe it's a hybrid. I'd be open to a hybrid because it would shed more light on the mummy world. Frankly, I would not be upset about kind of piggybacking on some of that vampire fame. So this is worth investigating. I know that sometimes a lot of times mummy's skin is on, but like I said, it's dry, so it could be peeled. So maybe there's something there to look into where he wasn't dried, or was. Maybe the shower actually dried him out. Now, typically, moisture would help. Like I said, with me living up in Oregon in the trees and the rain, that's me. I hate it here. It's dirty, but I have to live here. So, I would look into it. I would think potentially you might want to perform like a seance or a ritual or something, and kind of see what elements. Maybe present it with a couple things. Present it with a bat, classic, and present it maybe with a couple hieroglyphics, a couple old books. Maybe take him to Egypt. If he could see what was going on there.
I don't think they'd let him on the plane in this.
You wouldn't go on the plane?
Okay.
Yeah, I can't go on planes either.
They'd go on at TSA. They'd get one look at him and say, "Go back home." Turn right around.
He kind of looks like a biological terrorist. Like his body is like a biological weapon against the masses.
Well, that's
like
good,
made out of anthrax.
Yeah. It's like that
that's gonna be good.
scene in The Dark Knight when Joker's like henchman has the phone in his stomach and he's in the GCPD and it explodes.
Oh, okay.
You might think he's like that.
Well, that's not. Well, I mean, but that sounds good. The biological terror is up my alley.
Right.
So that is something, because I guess obviously too, I'm lobbying for him here to be a mummy and not to be a vampire. And I've ignored the fact that your son is mutating or something is happening to him, but at least you have a platform to talk about this.
Have you ever heard of like a half mummy, half human? So I'm just like struggling to picture like the process
I like the
behind
hybrid
that.
idea, though. The
Was it
hybrid
like-
idea
Did a mummy fuck your wife,
Good.
or did your son get like half mummified?
I don't know if it works that way. I'm not sure. I don't have the info.
Yeah.
It would be more half mummification, as we're not bred. I mean, we're all guys. I'm a normal guy. I was a noble, and then now I'm a mummy. And so it's possible that he didn't get wrapped fully, but this sounds like it's a full body issue. Not if his legs were, let's say if his legs were white and he was wearing slacks and pointed, polished shoes, I would be concerned that if he was not properly wrapped and at the bottom of him has become a vampire, well, top of him is a mummy. But given that it's
I
I
didn't-
didn't even know that was possible.
it could be
shocked.
possible. It could be possible. It could be. But I think you need to sit him down with Nina and the other one, and talk about, try to just get some stuff and show him some imagery. Maybe present him with the Karloff mummy. You want to present him with the Karloff mummy. You don't want to present him with any of the new shit. It's all bad.
Just Boris Karloff. That's the only good mummy, is what you're saying.
That's the only good mummy. And again, depicted as frightening, while also the man himself was terrifying. And, he would prey on the cast members off set, and so
Really?
definitely something to show on this.
Is that like a mummy trait as well?
preying
Praying.
upon female cast members? Not for me personally, no. Not for me
Okay.
personally.
That was more about
Not for
him
me
being
personally.
like a separate kind of monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a separate thing. But it's a spirit of evil, for sure.
Mhm.
It's some kind of monster, for sure.
hmm
So I like your idea of having a healthy sit-down conversation, but what we were thinking is doing just a live Maury-style DNA test of my son instead of having a healthy conversation like maybe the average Joe would do. I wanted to expose him directly to the internet.
Yeah, so we get the DNA test between him and his wife to see if it's his child, and then also the DNA, like Ancestry.com, to see what he is made up of, how much of it is foreign to, like, science, you know what I mean? He could have just, like,
to
new
organic
DNA.
material. I
Yeah.
think that would be a great idea, and I also think it would get his emotions cooking, and we could see what that manifests. I think that's very smart. If
Yeah.
it manifests a bite, goo, instant goo, no more. We're not doing that anymore. We're not
But
doing
what if he,
another
like,
one.
throws his hands up?
I'm pumped. I'm going wild. I'm really going wild. I mean, you guys are gonna have to show me how to get on some whatever this would be on. You're gonna have to. I mean, seriously, walk me through, like, starting at, like, what is
We'd probably have to do it in real life because it'd be too intricate for me to do otherwise. Getting this all set up was a labor.
I understand.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
did have
could,
to explain what Zoom was to you, like, over Facebook. So like it was tough, but we do appreciate you being here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And I'm happy. I'm glad I was able to figure it out. So if you did it in Tampa, I would come. It would be a little vacation, but Tampa's the moistest place I can go. So we can set this up somewhere like a convention center in Tampa. I'd be able to be there.
Yeah, we'd be able to do
Okay.
it. The only, I think, issue you might have is that Nosferatu also will be there. He's an avid viewer of the podcast, and he has some personal interest in the matter because he thinks that he may also be the father.
Well, that's a bit of a problem for me. That's a bit of a problem for me. In one aspect, would I love to see this blow up in his face, but the other aspect too is that he very well could have gotten to your wife. He very well could have, and she could be hiding things, and it could come out. Dude, just that his abilities are a little bit more in line with what's happening here. But I think the molting is good, and then I mean, like, what movie monster has a mustache? I'm upset about that. I'm upset about a lot of things. And I think that being in the same room as him, while dangerous, a sense of power. And
Well,
I mean,
this isn't
but it's all-
Vampire. This is Nosferatu.
yeah.
There was a recent movie based around him, and his powers are more sexual than like vampiristic. He explained that he mostly fucks people in their dreams.
Yeah, which I didn't know.
I didn't even know that was like a thing they did. But yeah. So
Does that
this
change? Do you still want to goo him?
Well, is it a vampire? Is my main concern.
yeah, but he's more like he does that to just like sustain himself. You know what I mean?
I'd say
But his
he's
main
still a
thing is
vampire,
fucking
technically.
people in their dreams.
I would, well, I mean, I would probably want to do them. The problem is that I'm pulling for the mummy. Obviously, I'm pulling for the mummy. And I go there. I want to see this blow up in his face. But at the same time, are you guys familiar with the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've heard of it.
Cool. Well, at the Super Bowl, sometimes I've heard that there's like a box, and the owner of, the owner of one of the teams goes up like, hey, let's see, we're at a baseball game. Like the Expos owner goes up in a box, and they're up there and they're away from the other owners, probably to prevent conflict. If we were able to get me in a box, as well as Nosferatu, so we were separate. Not that I would do anything, but just to keep emotions, in check. I would be able to be there. In the event it was proved the son was a vampire, I would go him. I would just start going, and it would be bad. It would be really bad. He'd probably fly up in the air or rape me or whatever. I don't know. I don't. That's honestly really weird, and it's not funny, and it's not scary. It's a bad power. It's a cash grab. It's a shock value, and it's not. There's not a place for that.
I agree. When we talked to him, it was really off-putting. Like I thought that he was gonna be like, "I want to suck your blood." But
He was more like, send me photos of your girlfriend and mom.
Well, here's the problem with that. It's upsetting for sure, but it's because their shtick's grown old. When's the last time we've seen a mummy unleash hell? Never. Not in a while. And even the Karloff version, yeah, he's scary, but he sucks. He sucks. I mean, he's not even fucking moving around. He sucks. So we haven't seen a mummy unleash hell. We've seen vampires, go crazy on people, rip them apart, suck them dry, whatever. So I think it's now their thing's old, and they gotta come in and have sex with women until they die or whatever. And it's not funny. It's not funny, and it's really not interesting.
So you'd rate it like a 1 on Letterboxd.
Oh, on Letterboxd, I would give it a 0. I would give it a 0.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would give it a 0 because I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. And when are we getting to the mummy one?
Yeah,
I feel like it might be
what
after
we need.
if Wolfman performs well at the box office. I feel like the Mummy and the Creature from the Lagoon are due for a very triumphant, scary return.
I would be upset. I would be upset if they went with anybody but me, or a mummy.
Well,
for
what
the
if they
next
did
one.
your story, but they did like an actor? You know what I mean?
That'd be fine. As long as it was
That'd be
somebody
awesome.
that was
Who you
absolutely
thinking for your
disgusting.
role? Like Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg could do fine. He's a little too good looking. I'm worried about that. I want, if we maybe like current Clint Eastwood or current Dick Van Dyke would be a good choice because they're repulsive to look at. We wrap them up.
Dick Van
in
Dyke
ceremonial
shave his
wraps.
beard.
Yeah, they would be. And that's another thing I can do is if you come close to me and I'm pissed at you, the next day you shave, you get a neck cancer. That's a cancer cut. You're dead.
Oh
I
my
can do that.
god.
That's something I can do.
You're very powerful.
Yeah.
This is so eye-opening because no one ever fucking talks about mummies.
I thought you
Everyone
kind
kinda
of just
thinks that they
stumbled
suck.
around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everyone thinks they bunk around, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not a melee attacker. I think that's a huge part of it. Is like I said, I hit that one guy with a wrench because I needed the brain. He was a necessary casualty. Other than that, it's magic. It's crazy shit. I can make a guy fly up in the air, suck around on the ceiling, make all his bones shoot out, and make fly around the room. And vampires can't do that.
No, they can't.
Yeah, all they
Vampires
can do is
actually
like
kinda
fuck
suck.
people in their dreams now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a cash grab. It's a complete ripoff. It's shock value.
It's shock
Yeah.
value.
It's just
shock
straight
value.
shock
It's
value.
not the
It's shock
zeitgeist.
value.
So
It's shock value.
here's my plan, right? We're gonna do this live paternity test. I do want to set you up in your own box.
Maybe
And
like
that
I was
box,
thinking
we're
like a
gonna-
courtroom.
Yeah,
we
we
could-
could room.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have like Arthur be the judge, and then you two be like on the two, like I
On
don't even
the
know what
two
they're called.
sides.
Two sides, yeah. Or
We
maybe like
can
a
just open
marriage thing.
Humidifier. We can
I
do a
don't know.
humidifier, big one next to you, so that you stay damp, so you don't dry out. We can set you up with some drinks and stuff too. Can you drink and eat?
I can drink and eat. I can drink and eat. If I'm a little too wet, some parts of me will fall off. That's what I'm talking about when people say I'm like when I went to look at the apartment and they were pissed because I was leaking all over the floor, leaking insides all over the floor. That was that. I was too wet. I was too wet because it
That's too
rained.
wet.
I lost a couple of skins and it flew off. It just flew off. My wraps were loose. It was, I was trying to figure out, a lot of different things. But yeah, if I had a drink, I could drink it. I could like a Gatorade is good.
What's your favorite
Okay,
color of
Gatorade.
Gatorade?
Probably blue. Probably blue.
Which blue? Like light or dark?
Light or dark?
Probably light.
Yeah.
light.
Riptide Rush.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, if you could keep me separate from Nosferatu, well, I could watch the whole thing blow up in his damn face like an idiot, then I would be in. I would be in.
Will
for
you
sure.
do a backflip if the child turns out to be a mummy?
Well, I'll probably stick my arms out. That's another thing too. Is I can't really move quick. That's part of the problem. If I try to do a backflip, my legs are gonna rip right off.
I was gonna ask about that because you talk very fast, but you've moved maybe the span of 3-4 inches this entire episode. Like you don't move very much, but I can tell that your brain is very spry.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? Do you feel trapped in your own body at all?
Yes, every day. I feel trapped in my own body. In a literal sense, I can't move around much like that, and it's tough. It's tough. That's why I live in a 10 by 10.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really need to be, square footage wide. I can get by with a pretty good. I would need somebody to drive me from Oregon to Tampa. If we were to do this, I would need somebody to pick me up. It would be a long ride.
I think Corn Kid lives in Oregon. Do you know about Corn Kid? I know that he was really recent. I can explain it to you really briefly.
I would need to hear about it.
Okay, so basically there was this hilarious child that was on the internet, and he was talking about how much he loves to eat corn. And you know corn, like maize, things like that.
Yeah.
So he was talking about that, and then it got turned into a viral song, and it was very funny. And we had him on the podcast, and it turns out that he's actually a homophobic nightmare of a person.
He's really bad, yeah.
But we kind of
He also has some superpowers. He's very strong. It's
he
weird.
lifted me up. He lifted me up by the shirt collar and said, "You are the thing that should not be on the way out." And so we just decided that he should probably come to the paternity test too. So he can his grandma will drive you anywhere that you need to go because she's terrified of him.
Okay, and will he be there in the car with me?
Yeah, he's gonna be in the car with you.
But you can probably ride in the front seat because he has to ride in the back seat because he's so young.
He's a
Yeah,
boy.
but-
Yeah, he has a little
he's
car
like-
seat.
He's like 7.
Well, not knowing about him, I will respect his power. Will he badger me? I'm by, is what I'm getting at here. I'm by. And I'm worried that with what you said about him, he's going to come and he's going to be badgering me. That's a separate issue, not related to power or strength or anything. And I'm just worried that in this time, I shouldn't be being badgered about the way I live.
Yeah, with like cancel culture and stuff. You can't even have that perception.
I don't want to cancel him. He sounds like he's powerful, as all can be. But it's tough here, and it's not even the kind of thing I can do anything about. I mean, it's the way I feel. My penis is rancid, so I can't get near another bee, and it's never gonna happen. It's just never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. So
Have you ever heard of VR? I feel like you might benefit from it a lot since your mind like races but your body can't move. You can live like a separate life and watch porn.
ooh,
Do you know about that stuff? Do you know about?
about what? About no, I don't know about any of that.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got a lot to catch up on. But also, just to answer your question, I just would not bring up anything relating to your sexuality to Corn Kid, because I do know that I mean, as previously stated, he is really, really strong. He'd pick me up by the shirt
I wouldn't want you guys to
Uh-huh.
fight in like the way over.
Right.
Yeah, that's
pretty
a long
bad.
car ride. That's a long car ride to have any kind of tension like that. You know, that's a fully cross-country diagonal. So
It's almost point to point in a way.
it's
And if I start,
probably it's one of the longest drives you could make.
and if he makes a comment and I start shooting beetles out everywhere, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get really bad.
Yeah, his grandma seemed like she would crash the car.
You know all that too.
For no reason.
Behind the wheel, beetles shooting out, flying everywhere. Comments, rude comments that are not right and that shouldn't be said, getting thrown around the room. I mean, it'd be bad. So yeah,
I think it would be really bad.
I think as long as he didn't think you were a bully, you'd be fine. He talked a lot about how much he hated bullies.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't come after him, no, especially not being a vampire, not understanding his power, not having a ton of countless, pointless displays of power in pop culture throughout time and never ending. I wouldn't be upset about him at all. No.
Yeah, he does move in the shadows. Like, we didn't know any of that until he got to our recording studio, and it was quite honestly shocking.
But yeah, I mean, that is a lot to take in.
He waited to go into the interview until Arthur was alone.
Oh,
So that he had a Cone Kid that had all the power.
that's awesome. That's not.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could turn him on Nosferatu. If I could get in his head, and like let's say we walk into a courtroom. Let's say regardless of anything, whether the kid's a mummy, a vampire, or something completely different. If Nosferatu dies prior to anything, that's a win. I mean, I'm there. He's dead. I can get a Cone Kid to rip him apart and eat him or whatever. And,
I think he might I think he'd be down for that because Nosferatu does fuck men in their dreams.
Okay, this is
Cone
good to
Kid
know.
would not be
Yeah,
down
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
For the record, I don't want him anything near me, not due to his way of life, but completely due to his morals and everything he stands for. I don't want him anywhere near me.
Yes, for sure. In a way, you and Nosferatu are alike in that way.
And that way that we share that fact about us, yes. In the way of that we are insufferable and that we can't stand to not be in the limelight. No, we don't. And that's really where I draw the line. Is that he just cannot be in it. And I would never pull a stunt like that. When let's say Mummies become in 1 million movies and people are like, oh, the Mummy's overplayed. I'll never begin to enter the dreams and violate others because it's cheap. It's cheap.
Yes,
It's cheap way.
Yeah.
It's shock value. I agree. Before we wrap up, I do want to get your opinion on zombies. I don't know if you've caught up on, but from around 2008 to maybe the mid 2010s, like around when you woke up, zombies were the rage. Zombies were big. Have you heard any of this? And what's your basic opinion? I do wonder what the similarities between the mummy caricature and the zombie caricature
Yeah,
are.
can you
and
raise
what-
zombies?
I don't. I can raise other mummies, so maybe.
Wow.
I've seen a bit about zombies, like similar. Walk with their arms out. Scary for sure. Scary as all hell. But not magical. Not magical. And more melee attackers, and getting quite the attention from Hollywood, which is not great, not great. This is the kind of stuff I try to look into, right? Let's see who needs to be outed as frauds and attention seekers. So other characters and types of monsters can push their way back in and take what they rightfully deserve with unrivaled power.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but as far as a zombie goes, I'm not as upset with them because I understand too. They're more new. They're kind of seizing a moment where they're super popular. Let's just make sure it doesn't get out of hand, as it already has started to, which was my fear. But overall, not a fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, The Walking Dead was pretty awesome, but other than that, and like World War Z, who even cares?
And I tried to rent World War Z, and I couldn't get on the internet, so it didn't happen.
You should look up Redbox.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that?
Do you have a Walgreens or any kind of a
Maybe like a Walmart.
pharmacy? Big pharmacy near you? A
A
Walmart?
Buc-ee's.
Yeah, I might have a Rite Aid.
Okay,
I have
so
a Rite Aid.
usually outside of a Rite Aid, they have this big red machine, and you can put in United States currency. We didn't really get into your financial situation,
Mm-hmm.
but you can put in, dollars. You can put in dollars, and you'll receive DVDs. Do you
Or
know
Blu-rays.
about DVDs?
I learned about a DVD.
Okay, you learned about a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take a DVD from that box, bring it to your house, watch it on some sort of device. I don't know your device situation, and then you're inclined to return it back.
You don't
So
have to
it's kind
though.
of a system. You don't have to though. It's you're inclined. You don't have to though.
One time I
never
returned
was.
an empty case and it was fine.
And maybe I would pull that scheme.
So you could do that. You could watch World War Z, or you could watch anything like that. You might be able to find original Karloff as well.
I would love that. I would love that if I saw that in there. I would love that. I would love that. It's the best thing we have. It's the best thing we have.
Yeah, that's the best thing. That's the best.
It's the best thing
for
we
sure.
have.
What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
the Mummy cereal?
I'm not familiar with this. Is it explained a depiction of my kind?
You're not gonna like it.
Yeah,
gonna
I think
hate
you're
it.
gonna
That's what
hate
I'm
it.
gonna-
It's called
I don't
Yummy
even know.
Mummy. And
We're not yummy. I'm disgusting. I'm absolutely disgusting. To look at, to smell, to be near.
yeah,
So
you
what's your final message to the world about mummies and kind of their people's interpretations of mummies?
Mhm.
What would your thesis statement be?
I'll lay this out pretty quick. I was a noble. I was in the military field prior to an injury, then the tax field. Got my head filled with parasites, passed. Due to the noble status under a pharaoh, I was mummified. Spent a long time there. Was uncovered by some Yale grads on an archaeological dig. Made all their limbs and stuff fall off. Realized I was back. Needed a brain. Hit a man with a blunt object. Cut his head open, took his brain out, put it in my head, got a brain. Retained all my original memories. Just I needed the power of that organ. Once having the brain, I came back around 2015. That Spanish guy was the president or whatever, and I started looking for all sorts of content relating to monsters, figuring out what I could find. I'm pissed. I'm pissed because there's been about one movie with a guy that sucked, but at least he was scary. A couple other strings. Haven't caught the Frasier flicks yet, but I'm not into it because the mummy doesn't even look like a mummy. It's like a monster. It's not have raps. It doesn't have raps. But there's curses, and my big thing is curses. And I don't like vampires. And I would like to push this message to get them out of Hollywood, out of the limelight, out of the zeitgeist entirely. Get my message into it. Show up. I'm ultra powerful. I can goo people. I can do a lot of shit with beetles. I can make people fly around on the ceiling. I can do a ton of different stuff. I'm not a melee attacker, and just you need to realize what I am. That's about it. That's about my spiel.
yeah. Thank you
you
for
so
that
much
last
for-
remark.
Yeah, thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming on.
Is there like anywhere that people can reach you and hear more about your cause?
Yeah, I'm, my Facebook handle is themummy12876454448 at facebook.com. You can also check me out on Vimeo and Cameo. My Vimeo is videos of me reacting to monster movies. It's a lot. I'm very upset in most of them. And my cameo is, you're gonna get your classic Mummy stuff. If you want to shell out $100, that's the top tier of my cameo. I'll go down the road and I'll make a guy's skin fall off, and everybody will scream, and I'll go back inside. Whole process takes about an hour and a half to complete. Get on video. I gotta set up my Dell laptop with the front facing camera towards the street. I'll de-skin a guy, make him green, make him fly around the ceiling, whatever you want to do, and then we can call it quits. That's $100. You can catch me on Cameo at a real mummy that's actually real and back from the dead. That's my cameo.
That is a steal. Only $100 to kill someone for that is, wow.
I guess if you want to think about it like that, you do pay $100 to take a life, but it's more kind of getting that note back out there.
Can you say happy birthday as well, before you do it?
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, I'm taking requests.
That's a personalized birthday message I would get
custom.
behind.
You could give that to your 9-year-old for his birthday, or
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us. We appreciate your time, and we will see you next, most likely at not the gender reveal. My mind's all warped. The DNA testing, live DNA testing in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, we'll email you the details, or we'll Facebook message you the details with your carpool with Cone Kid, so you can get that all sorted and everything. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And
of course, thank you guys. You got a great platform here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're just keeping it real, like 1776.
Yes.
Doing what our forefathers would have wanted and keeping independent media real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good. Amen.
Yeah. On that note, goodbye, Monster Mash Friday Power.
Yo. More fire. Nem az a lényeg, hogy mit csinálsz, hanem azt, hogyan. Mert lehetsz akkor is, ha nem magyarban tólod, hanem angolban. A lényeg itt a tehetség. A negatív kritikádat leszarjuk, nagy erőnk álljon rég. Egy dubstepet tombol a közönség. Ma este nem mész haza korán, gyere marad még. Mert mindenki a klubban őrült partilázban ég. Hát gyere velünk és a házat együtt szedjük szét. More fire. Fiddler a lemez játszó mögött, Májó meg a mikrofon mögött. Megőszetetlen páros, miket nem hallgatni káros. 2012 Yo.